Okay, thank you very much for all the presentations, and now we're going to have a time of exchanging some special ideas. But in order to, before we do that, I just want to give an opportunity to Christina Tucker and also James Mackay to first share their thoughts in terms of the Republic of Tea and also Lipton. So let's start with Christina. Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you. Are we, is this your slide?
Yep.
Okay, well, why don't you begin then?
Okay, then we can have James doing the first bit. Okay.
Oh, we're back to me. Okay, fantastic. So, and now we're back to Lipton. Here we are. So, hello, everybody. It's wonderful to be representing the Republic of Tea to all of you. Who we are, the Republic of Tea is the leading purveyor of premium teas and herbs in the USA. We enrich people's lives with our great tasting teas, herbs, botanicals. We emphasize education, innovation, and we have a mantra that is to live sip by sip rather than gulp by gulp. I'm joined here with 11 of my colleagues, all traveled from the USA. For 10 of them, this week was the first time they've ever touched Camellia sinensis with their hands. And for several of them, this is their first international trip, first time to leave the USA. So incredibly special. And I say these things because it leads into the really good news for you about tea in the USA. So many of these points that I'll highlight here, there are 6, ironically. I didn't know how magical the number 6 was for this convention. The first category is health, wellness, and function. Big driver for why Americans are drinking more tea. Americans are drinking more tea. So we're seeing that move. Yes, I agree. It's wonderful. And they're motivated by health, wellness, and function. They're also motivated by global care and giving back. Americans are more internationally connected than ever before. There are more diasporas across the United States, so people are becoming more connected internationally, and of course, we contribute that to social media and awareness of the world on a global scale. And there's more connection to caring about what's happening to people half the world away. So I think that's a considerable contributor to more Americans drinking more teas, herbs, botanicals. Also, Americans are learning more about origin. They want to know where their food comes from. They want to have those stories. So much of what we do is to tell the story. So I think we have a lot of opportunity for Sri Lanka to tell the beautiful story of tea from here. And then on my next slide, I have my other 3 categories. Great. So we heard this also. More Americans are looking for delicious beverages in their home. You know, this is a result after the pandemic to find ways to create that fun cafe experience, but in their home, and they're getting very good at it. So more and more consumption of delicious teas at home and getting creative, making those lattes at home, using concentrates like we have in the picture here to make their own chai, and then they can express how creative they are through social media and get a big following and share their own recipes, and it's a wonderful way for us to engage. And also, as e-commerce has developed, it's given Americans the chance to just have it delivered right to their door and then be able to experiment. We heard a lot about quality this morning, so that is also a big part. Americans are looking for that dollar to stretch and provide value, but you need to have that quality to cause that repeat purchase. It has to be just the best taste. Just great taste is at paramount for here. And then lastly, seasonal options. You may know most tea in America is consumed over ice if they're drinking black tea, but there's so much opportunity with the seasons. We can lean into special occasions, holidays. A lot of tea in the US is consumed during the fall into the holiday season, and then we get another refresh with the new year when people want health and wellness again for that purpose. So those are that's a quick story of the Republic of Tea and tea in America and our trends. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Christina. Big round of applause to Christina. And thank you very much for telling us a little about the Republic of Tea, and I welcome all the Republic of Tea team, wherever they are seated. Welcome to Sri Lanka. Next, we have James Mackay from Pepsi Lipton. Lipton is a brand that I've been involved in many moons back. And let's hear what is happening in the world of Lipton.
Well, good morning, everyone. So, huge pleasure to be here. I thought, first of all, I would start by just updating everyone on what the JV is, who we are, and our strong links to Sri Lanka. So we've been going for 30 plus years. We're the global leader in iced tea. We have 3 power billion-dollar brands, worldwide Lipton, and then in USA and Canada, we have Brisk, and then we have a big brand in USA, Canada called Pure Leaf. And proud to say that worldwide, the tea base for Lipton and the tea base for Brisk is lovely Sri Lankan tea, developed with a relationship with Sethi for the past 30 years, and that continues to thrive. So 4 billion litres of products we sell every year. And in terms of consumer units, equates to about 6 billion units of Sri Lankan tea that are sold in 75 plus markets every year. So already, I know the President mentioned the stretch of Sri Lankan tea, but I can tell him when I next see him that it goes into 75 markets already. Go to the next slide, please. So we firmly believe in Pepsi Lipton that tea is on trend, and very relevant. We've recently refounded our strategy. Actually, our GM launched it last night on LinkedIn. So if you get the chance, look up Pepsi Lipton on LinkedIn. Why do we think tea is on trend and relevant? We think powerful marketing multiplied by the power of tea gives us that edge. So if you'd like to go to the next slide, please. I won't go into our full marketing strategy, but we play to the consumers and we play to those new consumers that we need. So on the right-hand side, we've got a strategy called Talkability. So on Instagram or TikTok or Facebook, we create stories, we create famous people all around bringing those people into the iced tea category. And on the left, awareness. So we have stunts and we have events all through Europe. We own the beach or we own the harbour. And again, we take that material and we put it back into the digital space, which is the way forward for marketing. That's just 2 elements of our 360-degree marketing approach. We go to the next slide, please. As a tea person, probably my most favourite part, but the second element of our strategy is what we believe the power of tea. Tea does provide infinite possibilities for mood, for moments, for formats, for channels. It really is endless, the types of products we can develop and we can disrupt the category. So we have a huge innovation pipeline, big R&D teams in the UK and in North America with a massive pipeline of products that you'll see on the market both next season, in the medium term and the long term. And I think the third element is tea provides positive impact. Tea is a force for good. We see it as a real force for good. Consumers are very demanding now. They make choices on purposeful brands, and we see that with all our products. So consumers expect that our tea is sustainably sourced. They expect to see a commitment to regenerative agriculture, deforestation, and most importantly, livelihoods. So based on that, if you go to the next slide, please. We really, truly believe that tea is on trend, it's relevant, and for us in Pepsi Lipton, it has a really exciting future. So thank you.
Thank you very much, James.
Can I just say one thing, Ravi?
Sure.
We launched a Lipton iced tea alcohol last year in North America.
There we go. There we go. We're right on track. Excellent. So I think we've been looking at non-users. That's a category that we could look at. And I yet recollect the Lipton campaign with Chris Evert when they went into iced teas many moons back. Yeah. Okay. What I'm going to do now is pose a few questions to our presenters in the order they presented, and then open it out for any questions that the audience would have. So let's start with Ganaka. One of the points that you made was on energy. And as you also know, Sri Lanka has a very aggressive energy target in terms of renewables. In terms of the tea manufacturing process and industry, what do you see are the opportunities for us to move into renewables in terms of the tea manufacturing side?
I think it's important to keep in mind that when you think about energy, for any manufacturing industry, cost is key. We've had very, very high energy costs in Sri Lanka for an extended period of time, and that's driven primarily by financing costs. But as you think forward, there's, of course, a lot of opportunity for you to have renewable solar, potentially wind, yet to be convinced that that's true for within estates, but definitely solar. But I think it's important to understand that there are limits of intermittent technologies when it comes to energy. You have to have your base load and mid load at an affordable price. Therefore, it is critical that you not only adjust for what is happening now, but you think forward and you influence the energy policy in a way that you have affordable energy going forward. That is true for every industry. It is also true for tea.
Thank you, Ganaka. Mitsunori, I would like to bring you in at this stage. You talked a lot about China and what's happening in China. And what if you had to advise any one of the tea exporters or brand owners seated here of what you think is the essence of a good China strategy, what would be your advice to everybody seated here today?
Okay, thank you very much for the mentioning about the China market. And there are several points to be remarked in order to promote the sales amount expanded to the China market. Maybe number one might be, of course, cost. And in the past, I think until 3 years ago or 4 years ago, maybe before COVID-19 started, they are quite flexible to accept about the price. And then also, the trend has been on the more quality conscious until that time. But considering about the deflation happened in China right now, the cost pressure has been come to the China market. But at the same time, there is another diverse direction to be happen, because if your product have a different, being different, the character to be to the market, maybe you are going to have another premium price and also the profit at supplier, because there are quite a few number of the products sold in the China market, and then everybody try to being different from the others. So I think if you can promote your product or raw material being different from the others, that might be a key to go.
Just a follow-up question on China, just before we move on. In terms of the black tea acceptance in a predominantly green tea market, how do you see that happening, and what are the changes you're seeing in terms of people drinking more and more black tea in China?
In China?
Yeah.
Second, please.
The
point.
Sorry, in terms of Chinese, it is a predominantly green tea market, but there seems to be a need for more black tea amongst the younger generation. And how do you see that playing out?
Oh, okay, I understand. Of course, China has black tea production as well, but I think which is not the same to the Ceylon or the Indian, because type of the tea leaves variety are different, and then also processing the method is also different, and then also I think they put in some brand as the Ceylon tea symbol of the quality. That might be one of the good approach to be adapted for the market.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nori. Let's move on to Sharon here. Sharon, you gave us an excellent overview of England and what's happening with the British tea market. Could you tell us a little more about Europe? Because I think that probably, in terms of the timing, maybe there wasn't enough time to expand on it. But I'd like you to share a few thoughts about the rest of Europe, and how the tea market is moving in that sector.
Yeah, sure. So I did put up that short comparison with Germany, where, as I said, there's a strong focus on herbal infusions, and I think that's mirrored in other countries like Spain and France. But I would pick up on Shabnam's point that we don't have to be afraid of herbals or botanicals. We've got to see how tea fits into that world. Tea is the original benefit blend, and we shouldn't be afraid of seeing tea positioned along with that herbal or botanical market, which is actually growing and sometimes commands much better value than Camellia sinensis. So I really want to re-emphasize my point about the fact that we have to improve the value perception of tea. And that's not only about getting people interested in drinking artisan or specialty, which absolutely they are in Europe. So if you go to Germany, there's an absolute wealth of specialty tea shops. You actually don't see that in the UK. You'll see that in Spain, you'll see that in France. But we don't want to get competition between artisan tea and everyday tea. We need a halo effect. We need to raise the value perception of all teas.
One little follow-up question to that. Organics, organic teas and stuff like that. Can you tell the audience a little more about how this trend is catching up in Europe and England?
And I believe our members of UKTIA, English Tea Shop, are here. We were happy to visit them on Tuesday. They have a very successful organic brand. UK organics has gone up and down. It definitely has gone up and down. Difficult to position this. We're still in that inflationary cost of living crisis, and you do see purchases of organic segments going down in relation to when people want to save money at the supermarket. Again, I would say that organics does particularly well in countries like France and Germany. But we do have a strong organic market in the UK. I do think everyone who knows me knows I'm a technical and regulatory person. We do have challenges with getting harmonization with respect to regulations for organics. It's become particularly difficult since we sadly left the EU and we have our own borders now to move these ingredients around and in and out of the country. But I do think there's a growing segment of consumers who are very interested in organics. And if we look at production, I think we need to take the best elements of organic production and share them with conventional and spread that across. As I mentioned, the pace of regulatory change, which is getting more and more stringent, means we are going to have to find different ways to control pests, control diseases, to feed the crop. And I think we can learn a lot from organic production for that.
Thank you, Sharon. So Germany and France are the two markets that are driving the organic expansion.
I would say particularly Germany, but we do have it in UK.
Thank you, thank you. Shiraz, I want to bring you in on this point, which was, we heard Sharon when she talked about coffee, yet being seen as the brand they buy for taste, right? And taste is a derivative of both aroma and flavor. Tell me how your company is addressing the aroma side of things.
Thanks, Dr. Ravi. So I sort of put this to the audience just to think back, and everyone has kind of an emotional connection to smell. So if you walk around and whenever you're walking, even it be freshly baked bread, you know the smell, and that triggers you into wanting the bread. You know, finally, we're all humans. We all are enticed by certain smells. So I think things like tea as well has that aroma part of it. For instance, if you close your nose and happen to drink a cup of tea, you won't even know that it's tea. Yeah. But a vast majority of the cup you drink is actually in the aroma. So we've actually done a project where we are actually extracting the aroma out of tea as well. And we're using that in sort of new and innovative ways to try and appeal and develop the taste palette for tea as well. You know, we mentioned about younger generations, you know, tea being personal. It's kind of appealing to each person individually, maybe in different ways. So for instance, candies with tea flavor inside it. So things like that, appealing to the younger generation to get them used to tea. So these are kind of interesting things.
I think the only time I get aroma in tea is when we get to an estate in Norelia or one of these plantations. And if we can somehow capture it every time we drink a cup of tea, I think that's going to be a huge, huge way to get the tea industry moving forward. Shabnam, tell us a little more about North America and its tea drinking in terms of the loose tea market. I know it's predominantly a ready-to-drink tea market, and coffee also, isn't it? But tell us more. I mean, you're the expert on this.
Well, thank you. So coffee is still king in North America, I have to say that. I will tell you that every time I am asked the question in North America, when will tea become bigger than coffee? My response always is, it already is. North America is not the center of the universe. Tea is the most consumed beverage in the world, full stop, period. In the North American market, we are actually heavy on coffee, as you know. Carbonated beverages, soft drinks are still up. And I'll tell you one market that is high, continues to increase, and one that I have to say I bang my head up against a wall about when I see these numbers, and so should everybody in this room, and that is in the increase in, are you ready for it? Flavored water. Flavored water.
Water.
Flavored. What's tea? Flavored water. And yet we are not growing in that category. So the tea category in general is definitely growing. I can assure you of that, both in the United States, as Christina's already confirmed as well, so I'm not a liar, and the Canadian market. Ready to drink is on the rise. The convenience of ready to drink, as I said, but with lower sugar and more natural flavors. And that's really, really important to remember because people, as I said, are looking for more natural alternatives. However, I think that we are seeing that the trend is on the uprise. In terms of bags versus loose leaf, convenience, as I said, whether it's ready to drink or whether it's tea bags, is going to always be on the up, and I don't see that changing anytime soon.
Thanks, Shabnam. In fact, I just looked at the figures, and the global beverage market is about $760 billion. Projected to get to $1.5 trillion in the next 5 to 7 years. A quick question to James, because you're on one side, Pepsi is the carbonated side of drinks. I mean, and now you're driving the tea business. So how do you balance the two goals? Because I'm sure this is quite an interesting battle that you had to fight.
It's a good question, and it is a challenge, but I think you mentioned about sugar and sugar reduction and elements like that. So in the Pepsi portfolio, we compete for truck space, for shelf space, and for production space in the Pepsi portfolio. But we are their most healthy, refreshing, non-sparkling products because we've reduced sugar across the board from roughly 7 grams per 100 ml 5 years ago to below 5 grams per 100 ml across the entire board. And when you think that a Coke or a Pepsi is 10 grams per 100 ml, in Europe, for example, we're at 2.5 grams per 100 ml, and we sell more iced tea than we do Pepsi in France. So it's all about having a healthy offering. So sugar's one element. Of course, recycled packaging is the other element. But the third element is the power of tea. And that's what our strategy is now, is to drive that forward.
Great, great. Are you sponsoring the Olympic Games by any chance? Is Pepsi involved in?
Pepsi's definitely involved, yeah.
Lipton?
I haven't seen Lipton, but I've seen Pepsi. So.
Okay, okay. Christina, I want to give you an opportunity to tell the audience a little more about the Republic of Tea. because when I looked at your designation, Minister of Commerce and Enlightenment, I thought it might be good to get us all enlightened about the Republic of Tea.
Thank you for asking that question. Yes, at the Republic of Tea started in 1992, and all of the employees of the Republic of Tea are designated as ministers. So I'm fortunate to be a minister of the Republic of Tea, and I have a heavy title. Mine is the Minister of Commerce and Enlightenment, so I hope I bring some of that to you. I'm always looking for it myself, found it here in Sri Lanka for sure. We are all ministers, as I mentioned. We call those who sip the Republic of Tea our citizens.
Wow.
So that's part of our connection to those that sip the Republic of Tea. And I look to all of you as potential ambassadors to the Republic of Tea, as we could be partners and share our stories. I think the citizens of the Republic of Tea continue to look to us to tell them stories, and part of this travel here is to be able to bring the story of Sri Lanka and Ceylon tea back to our citizens.
Thank you very much, Christina.
Pleasure.
Okay, we have about about 5 minutes more, according to the time here. So I'm going to basically give every one of you a chance to. Oh, okay. I think, yeah, I think probably the better thing to do is to, if somebody had a question, you could ask the question loud. No, okay, we don't want to do that. Okay, so I'm going to give every one of you if you had to give one bit of advice to the audience in terms of expanding the tea market in terms of non-users, what would be that one bit of advice? So we'll start with Sharon.
Thanks for that. Think outside of the box. I mean, you know, we want to maintain the tea drinkers that we have, but we want to think of new and interesting, bespoke, personalized ways to deliver tea to an expanding tea drinking audience. Different formats.
Excellent. Ganaka?
Knowing little about tea.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think just listening to everybody, the opportunity seems to be expanding quite significantly in terms of markets. Think about the whole value chain. And in Sri Lanka in particular, ensure that we have the right level of productivity so that when we access those markets, we're actually competitive.
Thanks, Ganaka.
So I'm going to take thinking outside of the box from Sharon, and I'm going to tell you to go beyond the box and get out of this room. And I'll tell you why. Because we all know tea drinkers. We all know them. You need to get to coffee conventions. You need to get to beverage conventions. You need to look at the customers that we do not have, and the customers that the fact and truth is we don't know. Get out of the echo chamber that we constantly evolve and revolve inside.
Excellent. I love that idea because, like I said, if the global market is 766 billion, moving to 1.5 trillion, and the total RTD tea market is about 39 billion, there's a huge opportunity to grow that sector. James.
So coming from an iced tea company, I would say think about using iced tea as an entry point for hot tea drinkers, so to capture that market.
Excellent. So iced tea as a means to get into the more sophisticated tea.
Correct.
Makes sense. Christina?
I'll just repeat what I've said is to help us tell your story. That way we can connect with more people who are discovering tea, and I think that's a key theme, is help people discover tea more and more.
Mr. Nori.
I think there are 2 points as important: opportunity and innovation. And then innovation is, as Fernando said, I mean, as you indicated on the Kirin product, tea presso, that's a Japanese style of the drink, and then that is a completely different story, driven by the innovation. And another point is the opportunity, and as I also mentioned on the presentation, I mean the provider, I mean somehow like a special tea. I mean by using the new technology, and then also and also provide that new machine for the another region or the market.
Thanks very much. Arigato.
Yeah, I'm going to take a small subset of your non-tea drinkers to assume the portion that have only had bad cups of tea. So I'm going to tell you to make them a good cup of tea, which may be the reason they've been put off in the first place.
Thank you very much. I think that's a nice way to end today's session, because what Shiraz has actually said is, at the moment, we are not making a nice cup of tea most often. So therefore, the first experience of anyone drinking a cup of tea is probably not the best experience. So if we want to take coffee on, then we better start delivering excellent cups of tea every time you drink it. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. A big round of applause for this panel.